regional variants, aka Pokemon with a different type and appearance than usual. They were first introduced in Alola and received pretty well for the most part by fans, with some of those regional variants becoming even more loved than their original counterparts. So I think it's fair to assume regional variants are here to stay, and we're definitely going to be getting some new ones in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. But which Pokemon will end up getting these new forms? Before we jump to it, I got a little update because in the last video, I mentioned that I wanted to start a new playthrough last week, and literally last Monday, I lost power at my apartment and it only came back a couple days ago, so thankfully, things are good now, and as you can see, the office is finally coming together, although there's a little bit of an echo in here now that all the boxes are gone, so I might have to figure that out soon, but it's finally starting to feel like home here, and I'm ready to start off this new series. I mean, I was ready last week, but then disaster struck, and so now we're here, and I am pumped to get it going, so stay tuned this week, that is coming up. But today, we got Scarlet and Violet speculation, and we're going to be talking about regional variants, as I just mentioned, some that may have possibly been leaked already, and other ideas, theories, and speculation that I and the internet have come up with for new forms in the Iberian region. And already we've seen a ton of Spanish and Portuguese references in the game, sprinkled here and there in the trailers, so I wouldn't put it past Game Freak to add a little bit of Spanish flavor into their regional forms as well. So let's wind the clock back all the way to 2 months ago when the first regional form for Scarlet and Violet leaked, apparently. Here is the new form for Diglett, bursting out of the ground and into the sky. That is absolutely amazing. Of course, it is based on a geyser, as the translation says there. The strength of geysers makes this a ground and water type because a geyser is like water spurting out of the ground. I don't think I've actually ever seen a geyser in real life. That sounds really cool, or at least I can imagine they would look really cool. I'm gonna probably look up some videos afterwards and be amazed at how huge they can be. But this definitely reminds me of those enemies from Super Mario, or I guess they're just mountains in the background with cute little faces. Although it says here it's a ground and water type, I kind of see it more as a flying type with the little clouds circling around it to show just how high up in the air it is. And I love the fact that it can stick so much farther out of the ground than the Diglett that we know and love, because the mystery of what is underneath Diglett has always puzzled Pokemon fans, and it just continuing all the way down to the center of the earth, just this super long cylinder, is pretty hilarious to me and could definitely work for this regional form. These concept art drawings are becoming a lot more popular when it comes to these Pokemon leaks. I think because back in Sun and Moon we had the starter evolutions leak in this way. Since then, fan artists have taken to draw their own regional forms or potential evolutions or even new Pokemon altogether with this kind of structure, you could say, where it has like the main colored Pokemon, a couple of different action shots showing like how the Pokemon can attack or interact with the world. But yeah, this Diglett 100% not real, even though I'd love for it to be because it looks so cool. But then again, we already have a Alolan Diglett, which is a bit of a simpler design, you could say, when compared to this guy. I would take Geyser Diglett any day. Dugtrio, on the other hand, now that is just beautiful. Now, in a similar vein, we've got this potential leaked regional form for Subritzy, which is looking pretty spicy, I gotta say. I'm not just talking about the color scheme, as it is of course a bright red, but also its typing is apparently a fire and fairy, which does make it quite spicy hot. Subritzy and its evolution Aromateas are, I believe, inspired by the crow mask that doctors would wear during the plague era when, like, you know, the plague was happening, so they would use those to protect themselves from the stench. Hence the name Aromateas and it being so closely related to fragrance and perfumes. Now, I'm most intrigued by this black and white drawing in the corner. Is that what it looks like when it just tucks its wings in? Because it has these two little bulbs on its back that I'm not really sure what's going on there, but there was the Spanish plague, or Spanish flu, I think it was called, so it could be related to that. If this was real, I think it would actually have a split evolution where it becomes more flamenco inspired than necessarily related to plague doctors, because the only kind of mask reference I see here is that little corner drawing, so I would love to see it have a split evolution instead where it becomes a fiery dancing fairy inspired by the actual flamingo bird, but not a bird because it's a fire fairy, not a flying. Now, before moving on, I want to take a quick detour to talk about this recently released leak, or I guess it was already 25 days ago, so it's not recent anymore, but we've got apparently Sprigatito's final evolution here. Immediately my first thought is, no! Why did it have to go on 2 legs? Please, Sprigatito, all I wanted was for you to stay on all 4s, but judging by how the last few generation final starter evolutions have been going, that cat's going on 2 legs. I'm sorry to burst your bubble, and I actually speculated a while back that it would have somewhat of a musketeer theme to it. So this leak here definitely took inspiration from that idea, making it into basically a musketeer kitten here with the little hat and everything. But no sword. Instead, we've got these 2 glove things with X's on them, which look like something Pokemon might do. Maybe it like blocks hits with that, which is why it's got those. But wait, doesn't literally Obstagoon have that? Yeah, I can see where this artist got the inspiration from. Just noticed in the comments, people are saying it looks more like a fox than a cat. And yeah, I gotta agree, which is maybe why I thought it looked weird to begin with. That is definitely more fox than feline. But the whole reason I brought up this leak in particular is to highlight another popular format for these fan art leaks, and that is the in-game drawing or in-game model of the character on the Switch. Which brings us to the new regional form for Cherubi, looking super freaking cute as a little grapevine. I would love to see some love for Cherubi, because when it evolves, of course, it becomes a little bit more gloomy until you shine some light on it, and then there's that beautiful sunshine Cherim form, but normally it's a little more sad. So I like to see that my guys are happy, little bunch of member berries. And with the region being inspired by Spain and Portugal, there is definitely a lot of vineyards there where they grow grapes for wine. The artists who made this definitely did their research in picking an idea that actually makes sense in that region and had a lot of people fooled, myself included, for at least a little bit. That is until another regional form with a very similar format popped up, and I was like, this is getting a little sketchy now. So allow me to introduce the new regional form for Tauros. A little bit more blurry on the screenshot here, but he is looking like an absolute menace. I would have to even guess it might be a dark type, those red evil eyes there. Turns out both of these regional variants were actually made by the same artist, which we can now find on Instagram here under the name Doodlebeard. You can see both of those leaks right there with the logo now. Have you seen my Cherubi and Tauros floating around the internet lately? I really enjoyed seeing my Fakemon shared around, and a lot of people had a lot of nice things to say. Really fun experience. Yeah, I mean, they look really good, especially the Cherubi. Looks like something Pokemon might actually do in concept, and Tauros, although it looks awesome, like the 3D model itself is very well done. I guess after years of watching these Pokemon leaks come and go, you kind of get a feel for like what's real and what isn't, and for some reason this from the start screamed fake to me. And coming out right after Cherubi seemed a little bit too coincidental, so it turns out they were actually both made by the same guy. Something I noticed in the comments of the Tauros thread is you can guarantee anything shown on a Switch screen at this early of a stage is fake. And this guy asked why that would be. A leak coming from a Switch screen like this would generally come from someone with an advanced copy. And since it's too early for anyone to have a final copy, a leak like this is incredibly unlikely. That does make a lot of sense. The only way that someone would have the complete game at this stage would be if they work at Game Freak, and even then, what are the chances they wouldn't get caught doing this and definitely fired? Like, the only way I could see a leak like this happening is if someone at Game Freak took a picture on their phone and then somehow their account got hacked and then those pictures got leaked, but then we would see like a ton of images at that point, because I don't think they would just take like one little screenshot or picture of a concept art. I'm not saying there won't be any real leaks, but so far all of these have had little red flags here and there you can kind of catch onto. So in the future, if you see leaks pop up, you can maybe just slap some flex tape on there and seal it before you get your hopes too high up. Although my hopes were pretty dang high for this little Cherubi, it just looks so cute and definitely like something Pokemon would actually do. Though I wonder what type it would be, because it still just looks like a grass type to me. As you can probably tell, it is much later in the day now, but I just remembered another leak that came out a while back for what is apparently a regional variant of Oddish as a pineapple, and this looks incredibly dumb, but I love it. Like, there's absolutely no way this ends up in the game, but if it did, I wouldn't really be upset. I wouldn't be surprised to see Game Freak doing something like this, especially with some of the other regional forms we got in Galar, like Top Hat Weezing, or even further back, Alolan Executor was so ridiculous and somehow ended up being real. So this Oddish might end up being real. Probably not. I think it's actually been confirmed fake already. Well, here it says unverified. Bro, what? Oh my god, I forgot this is what it looked like. That is freaking stupid. If this somehow ended up being real, I can't even think of what type it would be. Obviously at least half grass, because it's still a plant or a fruit in this case. Maybe it's a dragon type, because that's what happened with Executor, or fairy type, because what even is a fairy Pokemon at this point? Anything that looks silly or weird and you don't know what type it is probably a fairy. What is coming out of your mouth? That's some nice pineapple juice? I don't know if I would be daring enough to drink pineapple juice from a Gloom. Moving on to our next league, we've got some love for Gen 2 here, as we've got a regional variant of Wooper here as an electric and poison. Oh, not potion. Just to clarify, the person that translated this is different than like the one that drew it. Like originally this only had the Japanese symbols on there. Immediately, I didn't buy this one, like, at all. I don't even remember it seeing really floating around Twitter all that much, probably because most people assumed that it was fake because it looks like it was drawn in Photoshop. I don't even know why the leaker tried to put it on a piece of paper like this. You could have just leaked it as like a picture of a computer screen. They even went all the way to put the confidential side in there. It is a really interesting concept though. Poison and electric type has been done now actually. We got Toxicity just in the last generation, which is an awesome Pokemon. Definitely one of my favorite from Galar. But another one I think would still be welcome. And if it looked like this little Wooper with its derpy little face and making all those different expressions with plus and minus signs as eyes, could actually work with the whole future and past concept that we've seen as the themes for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. This could totally be a futuristic form of Wooper and Quagsire, which I really haven't talked too much about Quagsire because it just looks kind of ridiculous. Funnily enough, as I was editing this video, another leak came out from a pretty reliable source in the past, I would say, as Central Leaks claims that Wooper will actually get a poison type regional form. However, it will evolve into a brand new Pokemon, not Quagsire. Thank God, because that Quagsire looked absolutely hideous and I would hate if that was real, but that doesn't mean this is what the new Wooper is gonna look like. However, it looks like Wooper will actually have a poison type form. So whoever came up with this fan art should go play the lottery or something, because you really nailed that one. I would have believed this Wooper could be real if it had been hand-drawn, but Quagsire, no, definitely not looking like a real Pokemon. And neither is this little guy here. We got a possible regional form for Bonsly, which I guess is roasting marshmallows? I don't really know what the idea for it is here. It looks like a marshmallow. At least I'm not the only one that thought that, but apparently it's cork, like cork trees. Going back to the whole wine thing, you buy a wine bottle, it's got the cork in there. I guess Bonsly is the one providing those corks here. I think Bonsly and Sudowoodo could definitely use some love, but I would personally like to see a new evolution for Sudowoodo instead of a regional form. Well, I guess you could do both. How about a plant that's pretending to be a rock? Kind of a little switcheroo on the fact that Sudowoodo is a fake tree. So maybe its regional form could be the other way around. It's a rock that looks like, no wait, a tree that looks like a rock. I'm trying to think of what the heck type this thing would be, and I'm not coming up with anything, so maybe it's just a ground type? Maybe it really is a cork and it's used to plug up the Diglets that are trying to burst out like geysers. I don't know, man. This is pretty weird, and I'm glad it's a fake because I'm not the biggest fan of it. We got one more leak, and this is actually the most recent one to come out just one day ago, at least here on Reddit. But again, originally it probably came from 4chan, so I don't know who the artist is, and that is the whole point, is that we have no idea where this leak is coming from, but I guess Pommy's evolution is here. And again, I'm just not buying it. First off, I don't know what's going on with all these smudges on the screen and then the two blocks. Kind of looks like Instagram. When you're gonna post a story, you can like draw on the picture and put these little sensor bars and stuff. Disregarding the weird stuff on top of the image, let's talk about the actual Pokemon we see here, which honestly just looks like Pommy itself standing on two legs. I don't see it being different enough to the base form to call it a real evolution. And if it is, then I guess maybe it could be the middle stage, but I feel like the face would change a lot more. Considering this is the new Pikachu clone of the generation, most likely it's not even going to have an evolution, but back then I predicted that it actually would evolve, and that's what sets it apart from the other Pikachu clones, because I don't know, to me it just looks like a Pokemon that would evolve, and if it doesn't, it just looks kind of like unfinished, or like it has more potential to me. So Palmy, no pressure, but you better evolve, my dude. Breaking news! As I was editing this video, some more leaks have come out, and it seems these actually have some credibility to them, as it is posted on the same account as the original Sun and Moon era Riddler. And this person basically revealed screenshots of a bunch of characters from the game, which I guess most people are assuming are either gym leaders or rivals. But this video is not about characters, it's about regional forms, and we got one of those too. You might have actually seen it earlier in the video. I snuck it in there editing, but now let's more in-depth talk about this new regional form for Girafarig, where it's wearing its tail as a hoodie. I mean, I think at first glance, everyone would assume that this is fake because it looks so ridiculous, but I've been arguing this whole video that official regional variants do tend to look a bit silly, and so I kind of want to believe that this actually is a new form of Girafarig. Plus, it also looks like it was originally posted on Instagram with the same kind of sensor bar we saw on the Palmy evolution and these stickers, which I know for a fact are on the Instagram story feature. I don't know who put the LOLs, but now it's got me thinking maybe that Palmy evolution was also real. So even though I started off this video trying to discredit any of the past leaks as all being fake, now I'm not really so sure. At least this Girafarig and possibly Palmy evolution could end up being in the actual games. Now that's all I've got for today, a little roundup of all the regional forms and even some other evolutions that have potentially leaked. Let me know which one you like the most, or which one you think is the most believable in the comments below. And while you're down there, hit that like button if you enjoyed the video.